Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the recently released AP Top 25 poll heading into week 8 of the college football season. There's a lot of shakeups, a lot to unpack in this video. We're very excited to be bringing this to you again as part of this series. And there's also some other exciting news here on the channel that you guys are going to want to hear about. That is a jersey giveaway. That is right, of Justin Fields for the Chicago Bears. Here you can see it on the screen up in your upper right. A Justin Fields jersey for the Chicago Bears. In order to be entered for the jersey giveaway, you have to leave a like on today's video, comment on today's video, and also be subscribed to the channel. Make sure to do all three of those things. We don't want you to miss out on an opportunity to walk away with an awesome Justin Fields jersey for the Chicago Bears. Now, Austin, moving into the actual video here, top 25. From 25 to 21, we've got Purdue, who had a big win this past weekend. UTSA finds himself at 24. Pittsburgh jumps up into the top 25 as well. Then SDSU at 22 and SMU at 21. I think Purdue is really the key game to talk about first here, Austin, with the Iowa Hawkeyes going down. The formerly ranked second team in the nation lost to the Boilermakers this past weekend. What were your thoughts on that game?
And that was an absolutely huge win for Purdue, vaulting themselves into that top 25. And I was a little worried about Iowa going into this week, just considering all the hype that had been around this team, their number 2 ranking in the entire nation. This was definitely a team I was concerned about heading into the weekend, and they did not prove that they were worthy of that ranking. A lot of people jumped on that hype train a little too early for this squad. I think they're a good team. I just don't see them being a college football playoff level team. And we saw that against Purdue. And looking at the other key game, it was Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech. Pittsburgh ends up coming out on top of that game. Huge win for them in the ACC, big ACC matchup. That was a must win for them. And now they're starting to pick up a little momentum into these rankings.
Right. We see the Pittsburgh Panthers take a real jump up to 23. Purdue Boilermakers, we'll see if they can build off some of their recent success and continue to jump in the rankings moving into the future weeks. Now transitioning into the top 20 here, we have 20 through 16. We've got the Baylor Bears at number 20, followed by Auburn at 19, NC State at 18. Texas A&M continues to climb up to 17 now. They were 21st last week, and 2 weeks ago they were unranked before their win over the Alabama Crimson Tide. And then at 16, we have the Wake Forest program there as well. Austin, I think Baylor's a really key one to talk about here. They had a big win this week, jumped up into the top 20, weren't even ranked last week. What's your thoughts on Baylor?
Yeah, Baylor's only loss came to, I believe, Oklahoma State. And looking at this Baylor program, once again, they won the national title in basketball. Now in football, they're starting to become a relevant program once again in that Big 12. Huge win for them over BYU. This was a massive win that this program needed to vault them once again into that top 20, which is really exciting for this program. I think that they are going to continue to climb if they keep up the consistency. The Big 12 is kind of all over the place. So, maybe they can find their way at the top of that of that conference.
Right. Baylor has many key games coming up. 2 of their next 3 games are against ranked opponents nationally. So if they can come through those 3 games with a winning streak, we could see Baylor really ascend much higher on this AP top 25 list. At 17, Austin, we have the Texas A&M Aggies here. They've been a team that's climbing, and I want to do a quick player spotlight on a specific draft prospect from this program at the time. DeMarvin Leal. We've been looking at him as a top 10 pick consistently in a lot of our mock drafts on the channel, which if you guys haven't checked out yet, make sure you do. They come out every single Monday. Austin, what's your thought on DeMarvin Leal there in Texas A&M?
He's an absolute monster. Very well could be even a top 5 pick, even considering he plays inside and out of that defensive line. So much versatility. He's a big part of why that defense is so good. At times, they do show a little bit of struggles. However, Texas A&M's a program this year that have been up and down. So that's kind of interesting. They started off in that top 10, end up falling even to the point of being unranked, and now they're starting to climb once again.
Right. They are on the move and in the right direction for that program. Moving forward now into the top 15, we have Kentucky, who is a fan favorite for many here on the channel. A lot of people really like Kentucky. They had a disappointing loss this week against the Georgia Bulldogs, then followed up by Coastal Carolina. Notre Dame slides up 1 spot from last week's rating, as does Ole Miss. And then there's Iowa with the massive tumble. They end up getting ranked 11th, which I'm sure there's going to be a lot of backflack from a lot of our viewers about how Iowa fell so far in the ranking, whereas Alabama a few weeks ago from the number 1 ranked team only fell to 5. Austin, what's your thoughts there on the Hawkeyes falling all the way down to 11?
I think part of the reason is because we know what Alabama is. They are a terrific program. They are much more talented roster wise, and they've also have a great track record as well. Which I know that shouldn't come into play on a weekly ranking like this. However, it kind of does in a way. Iowa was not going to be able to maintain that number 2 spot in the AP top 25. They tumbled down to 11. And that was really a big loss for them as they they hadn't been ranked this high in a long, long time. So tough weekend for Iowa Hawkeye fans.
Does this doom Iowa's chance at a college football playoff appearance this season, Austin?
I don't think it completely dooms it, just considering where college football is this season. There's a lot of turnover at the very top of the top rankings, especially in that top 4. Consistent movement there. So I don't see that being a complete dagger for them. However, it makes it that much more difficult in an uphill climb.
Definitely. The Kentucky game we'll talk about a little bit later on because the team they went up against is higher up on this ranking yet. So we will get to the Kentucky Wildcats in just a little bit. As we slide now into the top 10 here, we have a great list of teams in here as well. Starting off with the Oregon Ducks, followed up by the Michigan State Spartans, with Oklahoma State with a massive win over Texas this week at the University of Texas as well. So a really big win there for that Big 12 program. Penn State at 7, and Michigan, the Wolverines, are there at 6. 3 of the 5 schools here in this grouping are from the Big 10, Austin. How strong is the Big 10 this year? And then also talk a little bit about specifically Oklahoma State's season.
Yeah, it's kind of weird with the Big 10. The normal consistent players in it are Wisconsin and Ohio State. Michigan sometimes, Penn State's pretty consistent. However, the newcomer, once again, Michigan State into that top 10. It's been quite some time since we've seen that. Michigan State's been playing really good football. They're very, very underrated as well. I'm not wondering if, consistent program history, especially over the last couple of years, is a reason why they aren't a little higher, considering they are 7-0. But at the same time, the teams ahead of them are very, very tough. And there's a lot that go into these rankings for sure. Michigan State, that newcomer, jumping to Oklahoma State. Jaylen Warren's a guy we had highlighted last week, and he absolutely lit up Texas, had a ton of volume, had a ton of yards. Big reason why that they had won.
Right. That prediction there on Jaylen Warren is just another reason you guys should be subscribed here at Utility Sports to keep up with all the latest in the college football world, all the latest predictions, pick'ems, and analysis on the AP top 25. Moving forward now into the top 5, I think everything that everyone's been waiting for here in this video. And there's a lot to unpack here in this top 5. We've got the Ohio State Buckeyes, number 5, Alabama Crimson Tide at 4, the Oklahoma Sooners there at 3, Cincinnati Bearcats at 2, with the Georgia Bulldogs, number 1. Let's go ahead here, Austin, and start with Alabama because there's been so much controversy around the Crimson Tide on our channel, specifically in the comments about what we talked about a little bit earlier, how these rankings do somewhat take program strength into effect, especially when you're looking at the actual talent on the roster. I know you're still a believer in the Alabama Crimson Tide, but there is one inherent question. If Alabama goes up against Georgia in the SEC Conference Championship game and loses, so they have 2 losses on the year, can they still possibly make the college football playoffs?
I think there's a slim chance of that happening. However, I don't see it entirely likely, just considering it's hard with 2 losses to be in that top 4 still. And the part that they do have to take in consideration is against Georgia, who a lot of people crown as the best team in college football as it currently stands. So I'm not exactly sure how the committee is going to look at it. I just don't find it entirely likely.
Right. And you had just talked about Georgia's strength, how strong they are as a team. You have some statistics, on their defensive prowess this season. They also made Kentucky look a real tier below them as a program and as a team right now. The Georgia Bulldogs, I think, are clearly the top team in the nation. Austin, talk about the defensive strengths of the Georgia Bulldogs a little bit and how good they really are as a team this year.
They're so good with that front 7, the linebacking core, the defensive line. That's why it's so tough for anybody to either run or pass, but specifically run, especially against Kentucky. They had allowed, I believe it was under 50 yards rushing to the entire team. That was multiple running backs. It was a quarterback, all inclusive. Under 50 rush yards against this team. They are super tough to run the ball on. Obviously, teams can't make a mistake against this defense because they are an opportunistic defense, will generate those turnovers as well. this is a really strong team. I see them staying at number one for a long time. Once it comes to that college football playoff, it's going to be interesting if they go up against a team like in Oklahoma, because I think that they definitely will win that kind of game.
Yes, Georgia will be a team to monitor. They are our early favorites for national championship winners this season. Uh, Also, another interesting note on college news: Coach O is out as the LSU head coach. We have a video of that up on the channel. Austin talked a little bit about the LSU Tigers and kind of the direction of that program now with Coach O being fired. So there's a lot to break down in college football. Hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, leave a comment in order to be entered for this jersey giveaway. Remember, Justin Fields, this could be yours in just a couple weeks. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, comment again, leave a like, and hopefully you enjoyed. We'll catch you guys in the very next Utility Sports video.